The Accessible Trails Route Series. This is our virtual series that acts as a supplement resource and a virtual aid to our weekly Accessible Routes posts that come out each Friday on our OAS guide. You can find that at our website. So each week we feature an accessible trail, route, or park in and around Bend or Central Oregon, and offer and provide detailed information about the trail itself, the amenities you can find at the trailhead, and that way individuals can really decide for themselves if this is going to be a good route or a good fit for them, and if they're comfortable visiting the area. So with this weekly route series, they kind of the different routes will vary in difficulty depending on the characteristics of each trail. So really the goal of this program is to catalog and record the accessible trails around Bend for everyone to use as a resource, and so that we all have knowledge about the areas and can really kind of mix up our daily routines and find new areas to explore. So with that, we will start. We are here at beautiful McKay Park. A few weeks ago, we posted a Loops for McKay Park route, and kind of what the flow of it is we'll start by taking a look at the parking areas, the amenities, what you'll find when you first arrive, and then we'll go on to check out the characteristics of the trail and the path. So we may not get all the way through the loop, but we will at least get the initial kind of feeling of the area. And if you have any questions or comments, this is kind of open forum, so if you feel free to unmute yourself and ask, if you want to investigate something further, and we can do that together. So let's get started. I'm going to flip my screen around, and we will take a look. Again, this is Loops from McKay Park, and we'll kind of take a look at the parking area. So flipping it around. So here I am. I'm kind of on the side of the park, and the McKay Park is pretty busy. You can tell by 10 a.m. it is pretty packed. Right? There are 2 ADA spaces. One is van accessible, and you can see the ramp here, and it opens up right to the park. And I personally love this area. This is a place that I go on a daily basis. I live around the block from here, so it's a favorite of mine, and I love it because it has access to the water. You can see, I'm going to say and kind of show, you can have access to the water. There is a ramp here. You can tell it's made of cement. Around it is kind of loose gravel, and that will take you all the way back down to the water. So you do have water access in a slow-moving water eddy at the bottom of the water park. Here, I'm going to actually just flip this sideways so we can get a bigger screen. Also, a cool play area. I'm going to scroll back over here. There are picnic area spots as well. So you can see one, that's where I was started off this session at. It's in the sun. I think everything is in the sun right now, and that's starting to be mid. Walk this way towards the grassy park area. You can see that there's a wide cement path. It's about, I would say like 6 feet wide, so lots of room. You can see people starting to get ready for their day and go out surfing the wave, which we'll take a look at a little bit. If you haven't been down to this area before, I know it's a popular area, but it's just really beautiful, and it's a great place to visit in the summertime. If you're looking for a quieter time, I definitely recommend going before 10 a.m. and maybe later in the evening. So I just passed by. We do have drinking water here as well. Let's check to make sure it's on. That's something that's kind of important to know before you go. No, water is not on. So bring your own supply. I think that's pretty important, especially as the temperatures rise. We've got more picnic area on a cement surface. You can access that area maybe through crossing the grass, so not a direct path to that picnic area, but still really nice. And then I'm going to keep walking down this path. We're going to go over, we may not have time to do both loops, but we can certainly start by checking out the Colorado Bridge. As you can see, I'm walking toward, this is the beginning of the second route that we featured. I'm walking towards the restrooms. You can see that they're, they're pretty far from the accessible parking. Just something to note that you may want to know before you go. And as we get closer here, we'll go check that area out. It's pretty exposed again in the heat of the day. So yeah, I would say, especially this time of year, please bring like sunscreen and a hat and some protection from the sun, nice warm water or cold water. And great. So here we are. There are accessible restrooms here as well. There's 3 total. They are all open. And what I really love about the Bend Parks and Rec areas is that they really maintain their restrooms very well. You can see that there is going to be some brick lay over to that area. And really they're really well maintained. They're very clean, they're well stocked, and it's a really comfortable experience. I know it's kind of silly, but that might be for depending on people's comfort, comfortable using public spaces. That might be a make or break is the restrooms. So we are going to start off down up the path towards the Colorado Bridge. You can see that it's kind of a little bit of a grade, I would say, kind of based on all my measurements that I've been taking. This is probably about, gosh, like a 4%, maybe 3 to 4% grade. So if you are in using a mobility device, it takes a little bit of effort. There are some benches here to rest at if you ever just want to take a moment. And the surface here is loose gravel. Yeah, so lots kind of different things going on. As I'm coming up, these are some big wide open spaces, which is really nice, especially when we're trying to social distance on the trails. This area is really a great place to kind of have your own space. And yeah, so now we're going to be crossing. This is the Colorado Bridge. It might be a little bit louder there. You can hear all of the rushing water coming down. This is on the Deschutes River. This is a cool park that Parks and Rec has developed a few years back, and a great place to just kind of relax and watch what's going on. You can see here, if you haven't been down here before, we've got the Whitewater Park. We've got surfers going out, and another place for floaters to float by. And then on the far side is a natural restoration area. But again, this is a great place for just like a leisurely walk. Other users on this trail would likely be, we've got a lot of cyclists, we've got people who are on their fitness loop for the day. Yeah, so lots of people, especially in the summertime as it gets busier. It's kind of a fun and lively place to be. One of the things I featured about this area was that how much I love, there's just a lot of life on this trail. So lots of people, lots of animals, just a lot of fun things to watch and be a part of. And here I am kind of going down another slope. Again, this is a nice rolling slope to the river right. And we're gonna head towards Miller Landing. Again, another cool park that does have, I think, 1 accessible parking space. And again, it can be pretty busy this time of year, mostly in the afternoon. That's where I see a lot of people in the afternoon. Really cool. Everything is in bloom right now. If you can't see, I can see what I'm talking about. I'll explain it. We've got beautiful, like flax purple wildflowers and salvia and strawberry. It's so cool. It's just a really cool, vibrant space. And now we're going to change. This kind of goes to asphalt here. Again, wide path, relatively flat, a little bit of a slope. One thing I hadn't mentioned yet is our cross slope. So all of these areas are really well developed, and they have a pretty flat area. So not a lot of side, I guess, kind of side slopes to worry about. No real big obstacles other than just dodging bicyclists coming through. I'm going to stop here. This is a really cool area. This is our the more of the restoration side of things. And I'm going to kind of zoom up here. this is really cool. If you come out here, check out, these are those are all osprey nests, and you can see them, gosh, all up and down this section of river. Super cool birds. They'll hunt. They have, this is a great place for them because they'll come and catch all the fish here. So it's really kind of cool to see them in our city and such an urban area, to see such cool wildlife. So yeah, that's a nice kind of, yeah, like I said, a lively area, lots of people, lots of wildlife, lots of things going on. And I'm gonna kind of pick it up a little bit. This is a little bit uniform through here. And I kind of just wanna check out if I can get to Miller's Landing in time. I'll kind of show you how the surface areas change and maybe how the dynamic of the trail changes a little bit. Once we get through the developed parks, there is a residential section of this trail, and it does require going, off into the street momentarily in a couple areas, and then crossing over a wooden bridge. So again, different surface areas throughout it, and a little bit different slopes, but definitely I would, because of the length of this trail, I would say it's probably about, I would rate it maybe like an easy to moderate trail because of the relatively flat characteristics of it, and yeah. So does anybody have any questions? Do you guys have any thoughts or maybe comments about this area? Have you visited it before, or is it is there something that you want to investigate a little bit further that you're kind of dying to know? Okay.
Sorry, Hayley, it took a while to unmute there. I didn't realize McKay Park was right across from Miller's Landing.
Oh, awesome.
So I was trying to figure out where you were at first. I was like, that looks just like the Whitewater Park. How? Where is that? There's another.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
So exactly. Oh, what were you going to say?
Can you show us Miller's Landing a bit?
Sure. Yeah. So here we are at Miller's Landing. A lot of these parks along the chutes are pretty connected. I am going to kind of scroll over. This is another big green space. What's really cool about the Deschutes River is it's a really, especially in town, it's a really beautiful, just greenway. There's lots of parks and places to just kind of chill and, watch the water go by. So this is McKay Park. What I was going to mention here too is that we had a little bit of a difference in the path. We do have the brick laid as the main path here. At Miller's Landing, different than McKay's Landing or McKay Park. I'm going to scroll over here. There are restrooms, and two accessible restrooms. A picnicking area with a covered picnicking area. So if you're ever wanting to come down here and kind of enjoy the space and get out of the sun for a little bit, that might be a great place to consider. I'm looking over at the parking again. Like I said, it's already kind of pretty full. And it does look like we have one accessible parking space over there, one van accessible parking space. So a little bit less than the McKay Park. Yeah, and again, this is, there are so many, like, you can really mix it up on the Deschutes Trail. There's so many different loops to do. I personally just really like this area, and I think it's a great access point, but you can, it's like River Bend is another one that you can park at, and takes you down kind of by the old mill. So there's lots of different routes and options, and they all generally look kind of not look the same, but have like the same feeling of, just kind of flat, wide open paths along the river, with plenty of places to kind of just sit and enjoy, or if your goal is to get some exercise too, this is definitely my exercise route. So
Hayley, will you look towards your left where that trail is?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's kind of go. We can go investigate that. So this is a fun boardwalk. It kind of brings you right close to the river, and you can see it's a little bit of a lip to get on, but it brings you right to the water's edge. And there's a sand play area, big wide open boardwalk. I'm not really sure. I mean, I can imagine that people probably come down here and fish, or it's just another water access point. Not great for transfers, but I'm sure that, you know, depending on what you want to do, kind of a cool space. And I'm going to look up and show you, this is kind of where we just came from, was that bridge, the Colorado Bridge there.
And hey, Haley.
Yeah, what's up?
Pat here. So one thing to note for those that end up watching this video is I'm currently serving on a task force that's looking at all of the access points to the Deschutes River in Parks and Recreation district lands, including that spot you just walked.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at a lot of different options to improve access to the river as well as accessibility. So a lot of these spots that you're highlighting over the next 3-5 years or so may see some dramatic improvements to the way folks can access the river, including those with disabilities. So it's going to be a pretty cool project that the community is working on. And if anybody is watching this that has comments or ideas, they can send them to me. They can give me a call or always shoot me an email, and we'll be sure to include those in the task force.
That's awesome. That's really nice to hear too, that there's, especially for urban trails too, there's, you know, we all need access to the water. So great. What's our time at? Are we getting pretty?
We are at, we have about 8 minutes left.
Great.
And one comment that came from our audience was that the busiest time at the park is around lunchtime or 4 p.m. when virtual school is over for the day. So that it looks like it's pretty open right now and there aren't too many people, but for those who are looking to get out and avoid crowds, avoid the lunchtime and the 4 p.m. time slots.
I would agree. I think that's great. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, probably, yeah, before noon and late in the evening when people start to go home. I did want to, oh, this is great. This wasn't here last time I was here, but I do kind of want to show, this is when we transition out of the parks area and go into more of a residential space. You can see that it kind of narrows down here. I wouldn't recommend taking the sidewalk to our next connecting path just because it's really rooted and bumpy, but there is a easy to follow painted kind of way here that wasn't there last time. That must have been pretty new. And then a little lip down to the street. This isn't typically a super like highly trafficked area by cars because it's the only access is to the homes that are adjacent to the park. But just something to note that there really isn't a connected path to this next portion of the loop. It rained last night, so there's lots of puddles right now. That's not typical of this area, but something to kind of make as we get into more of like the stormy seasons and have thunderstorms to recognize that there are some low points here. I'm gonna follow, this goes to the, gosh, what is this one? The Columbia Park Bridge. And this is kind of my own made up route. It's not really like it's just a cool area. And again, something that I go on a daily basis. So I wanted to share it with everyone here. There is some construction here. The pathway here is all gravel. It's pretty hard packed, pretty fine. So there is a little space of harder coarse gravel as they're doing construction on this home. And then we're gonna come up on the Columbia Park Bridge. This is again this is a really cool just like footpath. You can see here the width between this the rail and this kind of pole here, gosh, is about, I want to say like 3 feet or so. And it is a little bit of a slope up here, not very smooth. There's a little bit of a lip as you get on to this wooded footbridge. But yeah, this is a really cool area. You can see that there's homes up and down the river, and there's all sorts of floaters floating by, so we're really cool. Yeah, just a little intimate space on this route. And after we get through here, I'm gonna just kind of hop over to some shady spot and we'll wrap up. That's kind of the area that I was wanting to show everyone, that you do kind of have to go a little bit off the beaten path. And then again, once you get up to the Columbia Park area, is another great park along the river. So yeah, I'm gonna just kind of keep going up. There is a little bit longer ramp here, a little bit longer slope, gradual slope. Maybe you want to say like 4% grade. So if you're using a mobility device, you may need some assistance, but it's kind of all dependent on you. And yeah, I think we are, actually there's one last part I kind of want to show, if I can get there, and it's not too far away. We go off from the river for a little bit to make a loop back down to McKay Park. And to get there, again, you do have to go by this through another residential area that I just kind of want to show you, so that you don't feel like if you come up this way, that you don't feel lost or off track. So this is Columbia Park. We've got pit toilet for restrooms. I'm going to do a quick little slide. Another big green open space. Some picnic areas under a sheltered area. A cool play structure there. So if you got kiddos, that might be a good space to bring them. Just big open space. And then this is where it kind of shifts. We go off the designated path, and this street, gosh, now I'm kind of forgetting what the street is called, but once you get here, this is where you just go straight down and you just follow it until it winds back to McKay Park. And this again is not on any protected sidewalk, but there again is very little traffic here, but still be careful and stick to the flow of traffic when you're going off the regular path. Great. So I think with that, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to flip this around. Okay, oopsies. So, and I'm going to do this. Sorry for the flip. So yeah, that wraps up the McKay Park loops. You kind of got a little bit of a taste of what you would encounter when you come here. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments about this route or about routes that have been already posted or routes that you want to see in the future, gosh, we got a maintenance guy here, then always feel free to reach out to Oregon Adaptive Sports. You can email me at info@Oregon Adaptive Sports, and I'll be sure to get back to you. So a big thank you for joining me today. Next week, we will be checking out Rockridge Park and the loops around Rockridge Park. And then again, every day, check out our Thrive Guide. We have a new daily post just to help us all thrive in 2020. And yeah, a big thank you to Move United for sponsoring this virtual series and for just continuing to be a support of our adaptive sports community. So thanks you guys for joining, and I think that's a wrap.